Welcome to 1407 Gray Malkin Lane. This is the living memory of the X-Men. Don't let anyone tell you different. All right, I am being joined by friend of the show, Mikey, over at Wolverine Gold on Twitter. We are going to be doing a special review of the first 14 issues. Oh, 15, 14 and 15. No.
14, 15.
Yeah. The first arc of the New Mutants. From 2004 up until M Day. It was really like, okay. First of all, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I was looking forward to it. Excited to be back.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you coming back. I appreciate
Yeah.
you. Yeah. So this came out in 2004. It was right after right after Morrison's big run, and they were trying to turn the school. This series is about the school. How would you describe it?
I think it was a high school drama. I think it was a true high school drama. Things that happened in that happened in our high school and does happen in our high school. And I think that it was it was reminiscent. I mean, like there's literally, I mean, not in the first 15, but in the Academy X, like there is, like school shootings,
Yeah,
and
I like
a bomb threats, so like I think that it is a scary but very telling observation of American school systems, private or otherwise.
something I also kind of noticed. It's just me. Um, it had a little bit of Harry Potter in it,
It did. It
right?
did.
Did it have like
Like the
the
squad
school,
very
the
much kind of
houses?
seemed like the Hogwarts houses. And
Yeah,
I will say that like out of the new stuff that I have been able to read of Marvel, the thing that kind of gives me the closest flavor to Academy X is Strange Academy, believe it or not.
yeah.
Um, I very much enjoyed that. And yeah, just even the color coding and the different squads and the changing of houses. I loved that Jay and David or Kevin
Yeah, really.
switched squads like halfway through. Um, the beginning of the series is really like a like who's who. It's setting up people. There's like character profiles. We get to see the ages, and they're about 15 to 17, give or
Right.
take.
No, this was actually probably some of the best. Like, hey, this is how old these kids are. We've got a
Yes,
definite age on Rain. That was
yes,
great. She was 19 years old. I was like, I'm okay with that. That's
right.
totally cool. Danny being 21, also cool with it. It
It makes
totally
sense in the
works.
Marvel sliding
It
time
it
scale.
it it fits.
Yeah.
What I just and I just like how we were just talking about this before we got on. Everybody was on the verge of hooking up. It
It
was
was
so funny.
It was so Randy, like everyone was a charged 20 teenager. And I'm like, these kids are flitting from relationship to relationship, like recklessly.
I
Like
know.
they have, like they're not. I don't think they're even old enough to like think about their love interests, like as a person. Like they don't even consider their feelings. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I love how everything kind of like was like a web. It was like um Josh likes Rain, but Lori likes Josh. Kevin likes Lori. Cecily likes Kevin. Nobody Bling likes Cecily.
Right,
Right.
right. It was all a train and it was not going two ways either way. I think I mean like even I mean at issue 14, like the prom, like everyone goes with somebody that they don't originally ask,
Yeah.
or originally feel. I love Jay. I love The thing that I love most about these characters is they're so human. Like in such a short time, you get to see good and bad in all of these characters.
Exactly.
Even a little bit of Noriko. Like with her
She
family.
just
Like
overreacts. She just comes in at the wrong point.
can we
Like,
talk about how like I wanted to punch every single like young man X-Men who called Sophia emotional? And I'm like, Noriko is right there, and like she is just as impulsive. And y'all are like putting like the female arc trope of like emotional woman onto Sophia, and Noriko is just as is messier.
oh no, she's super like Nori just like okay, everything about her is projection. Like the whole thing with Dust was projection. The fact that uh the whole thing well, okay, the whole thing with David when he found out that he was actually in love with her, he wanted to marry, she wanted to figure that out, and then she was like, just tell me.
Yes. Yes. And even when she freaks out on Jay for him like admitting that he had struggled with suicide idealization or like mental illness and awareness, she projects even then because she was like, how could you feel like you have nothing left? And it was all about her being kicked out of her home.
Right. She's she was just all over the place. I
Right.
I did like the okay, the writer was really cool, and I like how they were able to slip in song published material. Like, all right, when Noriko had just got off the phone with her dad,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. She's
said
listening to the
Eminem.
song.
She was listening to Eminem. I was like, I know. It was sing for the moment.
You know what? I feel like Eminem would absolutely be okay with X-Men
Oh,
using.
oh yeah, he's a no. Eminem is he's a comic book guy. He loves Spider-Man. He draws. I like so. I don't think. I think I it's like how it was slipped in and nobody said anything. It's been almost 20 years.
It was great. I loved it.
I feel like I was the only person who caught that. Like, wait, that's Eminem.
It was a perfect song, and if and when they ever get around to finally doing Young Avengers, one, it has to be like rated R, and
Oh
two,
God,
got to be on the soundtrack.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Um, okay, can we talk about how like Pierce's first introduction, he's hideous. I was like, he's got an ugly mug, and I was like, what is Danny seeing in this guy?
Oh yeah, Justin Pierce. Okay,
Yes.
okay. I was kind of seeing the way. Okay, the way I see him is if he was being played by an actor, I would say he's kind of similar to hmm, Chris Messia. Did you ever see Newsroom?
Spell the last name.
I'll say I'll send. I'll
Okay.
see. Oh yeah, he like this guy is well. Okay, not so much like he's the kind of guy who you would believe would put up with Danny shit.
Okay.
Because
And
Danny,
like to be fair, he seemed like a genuinely good guy. He seemed like a better version of I'm so bad with names, but like he genuinely felt like he did believe that Wither was innocent and that he was a victim of his own power. And I really appreciated that.
yeah, and like okay, all right, got it to you now. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, definitely this guy.
Okay, yeah, no, I see that. Yeah, no, that checks. And you
Yeah,
know
right.
what? Like if I yeah, no,
I'm
I get
telling
it.
I'm
Like
telling
I
you,
can
I
see
have
that.
an eye. I have a real eye for casting. You've seen my stuff.
Yeah,
You saw what I said for Jumbo Carnation. Everybody,
honestly,
I swear, the internet blew up with that.
I wholeheartedly back that. I think that Titus
Androgynon,
Burgess.
Titus
Yeah,
Burgess. I'm sorry, Burgess.
yeah, he would be great. I
Great.
love it.
I
Like
just saw him on
because Titus
Smigadoon.
Andromedon is Jumbo Carnation.
Oh, absolutely. I just saw Titus Burgess on Smigadoon, the second
Okay.
season of Smigadoon. So good. Like, I've loved him since Kimmy Schmidt. That
It's a
Kimmy
good
Schmidt
one.
was hilarious. I don't care what
It's
anybody
so
says.
good. What white nonsense is this?
Yeah, wait, or the
So good.
shades. He takes the shades out.
Right, and taking off and their shades underneath, iconic. That's better than a wig reveal, you know? Like,
He's like, "Don't talk to me. I'm eliminating." Like, wait, did you just make that into a? Did you just make that into a verb?
right? I even Elixir, like,
He was a dick.
I
He was a dick in the beginning.
he was a bigot, you know, like his mutant power activated, and Wither even talked on that with like, you know, the last time I saw you, you know, we were on opposite sides and you were a bigot, you know, and you were scared of me. And I don't think that that fear ever left him.
Yeah, but Win is a hater though. He's such a
He is a
hater,
straight hater. I put in my notes, he's the nice guy trope, you know, like
right? Oh
he's
my
the
god, he's such a and Cecily's right there.
I mean, like
Okay,
if she were throwing herself at him anymore, like it would be embarrassing, you know, like
you'd be like Cecily, have some self respect.
I love me some Cecily. I think that
Great.
having a physical mutation would I mean people are still like Beast is still whining about it, you know?
But
Like
yeah, so is not. So is Kurt.
I mean, and like the people around like really don't have that big of a problem as they think that
It's an
they do,
adjustment.
you know?
It's like anything. If I
Yeah.
didn't have a foot, everybody would have to adjust to how it like it's freaky at first.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's freaky at first, but once you get around to it, it's actually pretty cool. I mean, like I'm not surprised Nightcrawlers never or Beast never just thought like, "Hey, I'm pretty awesome. I can walk on walls. They can't."
Right. Like I don't like I do think that I mean aside from how society is treating them, you know, because of their visible and, you know, powerful mutations. I see where people, you know, why that trope still persists even today. Um can we talk about how Danny Moonstar had like blue hair just for the second issue? Like
Well, okay, I just said it was shading, or maybe she just hey, I want to do some solidarity and like just do get my hair blue. This one spray paint it
this
blue,
one issue.
like just spray paint it blue. See if anybody notices. Nobody did.
I clocked it. No,
Yeah,
I realize that they use blue for hair to like differentiate between brown and black hair.
yeah,
But yeah, the second issue, I was like, okay, like if I didn't know the hairstyle was Danny and like the you know word bubbles around, at first it kind of looks like Surge, you know, like with the
yeah.
blue hair.
She looks like an older Surge.
Right. Um,
God, he's a
I,
dick. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was so looking at Elixir. He's a dick.
he's a dick. He is like honestly, I'm kind of glad that he's been kind of sequestered to the five, because like honestly,
They
I
seem really
mean,
clicky, don't they? Like the
like
five, don't the five seem like they're really clicky?
they do. They,
Or at
I
least Hope
mean,
is. Hope is like, we you can't sit with us. Like what?
and honestly, like I really think that until mutants find a way to like revive themselves, you know, or I mean, and they've been looking for replacements from the beginning, you know, so I think that they've got a solid grasp on the fact that like they really can't rely on just five, you know,
Right, of course.
for the
Yeah.
rest of time.
No. I just hate Hope. Hope is just a dick. He's a
Hope,
dick too.
I get the function of Hope. I think that like making her look like a gene clone was the worst thing that they could have done. I mean, because like she is effectively like you know how like magic has to have bangs, otherwise
Yeah.
she's just another blonde.
Right,
I
right.
definitely feel like that is Hope in a lot of the
He has to wear
portrayals
his
of her.
she has to wear have a gun, otherwise
Or a
she looks
gun.
like
Yes.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't like, there are other colors. Like, actually, that was my main thing with Hope. Why did she have to be a white girl? She could have been an Asian girl. It would have been
She could have,
to me, it would have
and
made the
because
whole
like
thing with Cable a lot more endearing.
I think because they were like they're always scared to do like a lineal line, but they wanted it like because comics are real good about like, oh, you're adopted, just kidding, like you're a long lost cousin, or you're actually a
Yeah.
son, like 15 years later. So I don't know if that is like their angle, because like in the Deadpool 2 movie, Hope is his daughter. Like they don't really say that she's
It
adopted.
all but said.
Yes. And so I like her function in AVX would have been perfectly replaced with Jean,
Or Sync.
or Sync, or like, and that's just it. Like power wise, we have a couple of mutants who do what she does.
Yeah, like Mimic was right there. Like
Mimic. I mean, I like literally,
like
and if Krakoan resurrection, amplifies each power, I don't think that he would be, have the limitations that they do. Elixir, I mean, I think
yeah.
he's the definition of like the pretty boy trope, like the things he's the cool guy. I love how he like shot up to volunteer for a leader, and like Danny Moonstar was like, "You're a medic. Like, no, like you're not gonna lead the
He
X-Men."
basically's like, "I'll do it. Shut the fuck up." Okay.
Right, right. Immediate shutdown. I
I want more of that at X-Men. I want more mean, like, just mean spirited.
just
Sure.
like shut up,
Like,
And I'll be honest, like because this was my first reading with Emma, not this time, but like
yeah, yeah, right.
Academy X.
Yeah, I got you.
And so like all I'd known was like the Grant Morrison, and like I was,
Yeah.
my dad was
Okay.
a Gene Scott shipper, so I was a Gene Scott shipper. Also, I really, really related to like Jean Grey and X-Men Evolution. So I was hesitant at best with Emma at first, but she really proved herself like within the first like 4 issues, like with Wither, with
Oh yeah,
Kevin.
yeah. She did him. She did. It seemed like she was messing with him, like not messing with him, but like manipulating him to go into his side. Maybe she
Yeah,
was because she would have a better eye. She can keep an eye on him.
yeah.
Danny's gonna. Let's face it. Good guys only have a lot of oversight. They overlook a lot.
I think that she took the, like, if we're going back to the Hogwarts metaphor, the
Oh yeah,
Hellions are the Slytherins, like, and I think if anybody were to have the best potential to curb villainous um appetites, it would be Emma. Something that I want to say before we get too far in, because I'm definitely going to come back to it, it's that reading Academy X after the Krakoan era really, really nicely solves most of the um, questions we have on like in the Academy X. Like Krakoa solves all of it. So
okay,
like if it was too hard to read, or you remember it being hard to read, because it is a hard read,
yeah,
like right off the bat they jump into the danger room. I mean, just to
yeah,
even
right,
issue 1, just
right,
because like their powers, a lot of their powers are like painful to them in the way that like the Gen X kids were,
right. Yeah,
um uh I thought that like when the new X-Men were going to the wall to like kind of help Wither escape the first time,
yeah.
it was a great use of David's power, because he just got close enough to like figure out their protocols and like work from there. I loved that. I There are, like I said, there are moments for each of these characters to really shine through, but the rest of your time, it's like, get your head out of your ass, which like I feel like makes them so human and relatable, because like Prodigy had a couple of good moments where like he
Oh yeah,
was, you know,
he was a
saving.
focal point of
he-
the entire series. Like, I wish we
Absolutely.
would have gotten more time with Tag, and well, we know more about Cecily, but um,
Yeah, but like even Rock Slide, you know,
yeah, we know
or
more about Rod. He's hilarious.
he is. I love Santo, and honestly, I
Santo
miss
is so
him.
oh,
I need them to figure out a way to bring them back from Otherworld. But I get that like since death isn't a thing now, it's being brought back wrong, and so um, it makes me wonder. I mean, how come that isn't a plot point in itself? Like, just send all of the people with problematic pasts to like to Otherworld and like do a tournament there and be like, we'll bring you back, but like, you know, Sinister and the whole, you know, Nazi history's gotta go. You
no,
know,
I
like
mean, yeah, the Nazi history thing. Yeah, it happened. Okay, yes, it
right,
happened. I'm sorry, it happened.
right,
No, like, okay, from Sinister's point of view, he wanted to experiment on people, and like the Nazis were a good way to do it.
right,
I'm
right,
sorry,
right,
and like
right.
they
And
took a
like here's
really
the
good
thing.
job.
I respect that Marvel hasn't reset their history because it is getting kind of cumbersome in the DCU, like to even grow attached to the characters if you know that they're going to die or change or the universe is going to reset in 3 years, you
Right?
know?
It's just weird. Like,
Um,
you can't like Sinister. Sinister's been hilarious for the last couple of years. I'm
right.
sorry.
I mean, and like he's camp. I mean, and like his like whole costume is obnoxious
What
and
is
would be a
camp?
dream to costume. But
What
like
is
he's just a bad guy, you
okay? Okay, yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. He's the word. What is
Um
camp? I never. No one's ever been able to explain it. What is camp?
Camp is when it's intentionally bad for humor. Like
Oh,
it's an exaggerated satire where
okay.
it's so bad because it's supposed to be bad, you know?
Oh,
And so it depends, you know, like, and sometimes people concede bad things and, you know, it's not in a good, you know, like
yeah, yeah.
it depends on if it's so bad it wraps around to being like funny. Like if you can make a drinking game out of it, you know, it's camp, you know?
So the Kardashians are camp.
They, they are, I mean, they're not serious. Let's be real, you
All right.
know,
Yeah, okay.
like let's be real. I mean, and I think that they definitely lean into it, you know? I
Yeah.
mean,
I,
absolutely.
hey, just saying. I've been. Hey, you see, hey, that's why I'm the living memory of the X Men. I connect the dots. I don't
Right,
head
absolutely.
canon.
I mean, and like even I mean, now were some of their like their Halloween where they dressed up as X-Men villains, I was like, okay, this is a serve. I kind of live. Um I but I love that, you know, just that as an example, like you don't have to be in like a direct X-Men fan to know the X-Men and to know their cultural impact on like society. It's great. It's awesome.
Nice.
Um
All
I
right. Why don't you just jump right into, or you want to talk about all of it as a whole? Because like this.
we could jump into it. We could talk to it as a whole. I
Uh,
took like chronological notes, so
okay. All right. Let's go over like each individual, like choosing sides. So, we begin. The original groups are Prodigy, Surge, Wallflower, uh, Wind Dancing.
um
They had some weird names. What were they doing with these names?
I mean, it said in the story, like it said that Danny chose their names for them. So like Danny was the one who picked all of these out.
Oh,
Um,
that's why they're on that weird shit. Because she's on
yeah,
that weird shit.
yeah.
Okay,
I
so
do think that it's interesting that until the yearbook comes out, after, you know, like we don't get to see all of the students. We get to see like clips of them here and there. Like we
yeah,
get to see Pixie here and there and Match here and there. But that's because they have physical mutations and they kind of stand out when
right. We
you
saw
are finally
Pixie.
introduced to
Yeah,
them.
we saw, man,
Um,
Pixie. She started. She's the Butters of the X Men. She started out as a background character,
she did.
barely any lines, and then she just slowly got
She
peeled.
slowly crept to the front. I mean, even into like
She's
being a
Butters,
mainstay
and she's
in
still
Way
like,
of
"Oh
X.
gee
Yeah.
gosh." She's like, "Oh gee god." I'm still I want to be a nice person, and
You
then
know, wings are an automatic draw to the eye. I remember like having an OC way back in the early 2000s, and I was the guy with wings. And like
why?
everyone could pick out mine because he had wings. It was a pain to my art, like to the friend who was an artist who drew him. But like, and he even did a poll. He was like, "What's He's got an iconic hair. He's got a signature, like look
Look,
and
yeah,
mark and like and he's got wings. Like, what's the thing that you guys can,
look
point
at
to
you
and
like
say
stand
this is
out,
this
yeah.
character? And it was the wings, like by a large margin. So I think that I mean, me having that little bit of tidbit knowledge, I was like, yeah, no, it makes sense because Icarus is another one who, I
Oh,
mean, I didn't remember how much I loved Icarus until I read it this last time getting ready for this podcast because like for me all I could remember was him going over to the purifiers and like that was so traumatic for me and that's all I could remember. So coming back and reading it, he's so respectful of Soraya. Like there is a reason that like Bob Guthrie has like a castle on Krakoa, and it's because she raised her children right. Like he was absolutely respectful. He was like, "Hey, why are you eating alone?" She's like, "I can't eat with my mask on, so I eat, by myself." And he's like, "Okay, well, do you ever want to come flying with me? That way you can, like activities." He was
yeah,
trying to engage that they
went out
could
of his
both
way to
do.
include her. He wanted yeah,
Right.
she they're and I really saw that she was appreciating that. Like, I really, really liked that. And
Absolutely. And it was just so culturally respectful.
from the white kid,
I
from
truly say what?
from the white kid too.
I'm right from the ginge, from the
From the
redhead.
southern white kid.
But that's just it. He was a Guthrie, and Mama raised him right. Like
Damn straight.
even to the issue 14, like literally, 10 issues later, a year later, give or take.
Mhm.
Um, he, like comes in and is like, "Hey, I'd love to ask you to the dance, like to the spring dance. I know you probably will say no, but like, I just wanted you to know that I was thinking of you." Meanwhile, and he's the only one that does that. He is the only one who goes after the one he truly like
Wanted.
had feelings for
Yeah.
because like Prodigy doesn't get why Noriko is like pulling the 1980s like grunge girl of I don't want to go to the prom, but I really want you to ask me so that I could do a 1980s transformation and be prettier than the pretty girl. Like
Ooh,
that whole thing. He
okay. Oh,
completely over this bisexual boy's head. He was just like, "Oh, she doesn't want to go and you don't want to go alone, so I'll go with you." And I'm like, David,
this is the
like how
Breakfast
are
Club.
you the smartest guy in the room and so dumb? Like,
Okay.
like
Why did they make Nori um not Molly Ringwald, but the dark girl from a Breakfast Club?
Right. Yes, that's exactly what
Exact
that's
everything
exactly
happened.
what she was doing with this play or with the dance.
Yeah.
And like instead of Hellion
Well,
just
no,
going up and
Elliot went
asking
after the one he
Sophia.
wanted too, though. Like Josh, like Jay and Julian both went after the ones they wanted.
Well,
Yeah.
Julian, he did try to ask
Oh
Sophia out, and
no!
she was like, "No, I don't like your ego. Like, honestly, I like humble dudes." And he was like, "Cool, then I'll show you humble with my 3 cuckoo dates."
I forgot about. You know what? I hate myself because I showed you the panel last week,
You
and
did.
and yeah, he smashed Emma's daughters. Let's not act like that didn't
He
happen.
did.
Like they
Like
gave him candies.
I always wondered why that. I mean, and you said that it was because he finally got with Wind Dancer, and I love that. But in this Krakoa era, where every with where they're of the Krakoan lifestyle,
Right.
I wondered why we haven't seen Hellion with the Cuckoos again in rotation with like Quentin Quire and Kid Cable and
Okay. You know what? I can like. All right. We all know Quentin would be pissed at knowing this, but also you know that Julian. like he loves Sophia. He loves Sophia, but
He does.
he'll do something like he'll say like, "I hit it first."
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, he would.
He'll just say it like a passing. Oh, you're like,
He would.
you rage me. Oh my god, you rage me.
Like, and yeah, I mean, because here's the thing. I mean, it was a perfect portrayal of how a lot of guys are, like the bravado guys who think that they have to put a show on in front of their friends versus like just being genuine, and like being kind of two-faced. I thought that it was a perfect example of that because if he was sincere from the get-go and he was like, I really don't care what people think about us being on two separate, leaders, like it's almost as if like narratively they were trying to make Julian and Sophia the Romeo and Juliet of Academy X,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's
opposing
really Soraya and
sides.
Jay.
I'm
Like
surprised they didn't lean into that. Like that would have been really cool if they did like if they had to do like a school play and it
yeah.
was like Romeo and Juliet and it's just like it was like an open secret. Like, oh yeah, we totally know you hook up.
I mean like I I'm a bad theater major. I feel like Sophia was the name in Romeo and Juliet, but I could be completely mistaken. Um
Thinking of Rosalind. No,
but um but yeah,
Ophelia. Ophelia was the one who killed herself, right?
yes, yeah, and
Yes. Okay.
Othello. Yep. Um So, oh yeah, you're right. So, okay, so yeah, so they were Shakespearean characters,
Yeah.
and and I love that. I love, because I'll never forget. We were in, like script analysis, and it was Shakespeare. We were doing Hamlet, and one of the guys was like, "Oh, like Lion King," and like we all kind of were like, "Well, yeah," but like,
Other,
for
other
somebody who's
way
never read.
around, man. It's the other way
Right,
around.
right, exactly. But for I mean, sometimes that's the only way people are introduced to the classics. Like sometimes people's only interaction with classical music is Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
absolutely. It's
um,
a gateway.
it
It's
is,
like
and
if you like hip hop is a big user of that. They'll take old
absolutely
song from 1963,
right.
obscure as hell,
Yep,
and flip it, make a platinum record, and now a bunch of people are like, oh, I want to listen to this thing new,
yep,
or
yeah.
or
No,
or or that whole Etta James phase we went through like 10 years ago. Remember when everybody had that At Last song? Everybody was playing At Last.
I don't remember that, but I feel like the thing that like nowadays is
Yeah,
like the Stranger Things and
yeah.
that one song that came back. I'm so bad with names.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. In the last season.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know what
where
you're
like
talking about.
Max did the thing.
Yeah,
Hold on, let me look it up
he
because
would
I'm
make a
just
really
gonna
good
type in Stranger Things song and it's gonna come up.
like Max will make a really good Hope
I think
or
she would
Rachel.
be a great Hope. I think that um unfortunately, like she definitely gives off the child actor. I mean, she's been doing it long enough,
Yeah.
type thing. I would love to see her with a rifle, and the guy who played Cable in Deadpool 2.
Oh, Josh
Um,
Brolin,
yes.
Thanos, bring him back. I'm down. I'm with it. Let's do it. And
Oops,
plus, I
oops.
would love to see him interact with whoever we get to play Cyclops.
Yes. And I would love to. Do you think that they should bring back the first guy or cast someone completely new?
You know what? I like the old guy. I
I
like
do
James
too.
Marsden. Plus he has gotten to be a better actor in the last few years.
Absolutely. I 1,000% agree with that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, it was
great, and
Kate Bush running
he
up
looks
that
like he's
hill.
30. He's
That,
like 47. He looks like he's 32.
I mean,
Like
but I mean, that would fit right around the time of like the new X-Men in the 2000s, if we're being honest.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, P.S. The song was Kate Bush running up that hill. Yeah.
okay,
But yeah, no, bringing back like old songs that and reviving them, I'm here for
I
it.
think Amy Winehouse did that.
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse was a big component of that. So she got like she sounds like she sounded and she looked like a 60s Bond girl.
Yes.
Everything about her was a Bond girl.
Yeah.
So it just
Um,
made you want to listen to that.
yeah.
Okay, but back in the story.
All right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
all right, so we get the first crew, the first two teams, and like Julian just being Julian.
Yeah.
Brian or Tag, we talked about this. I think
Okay, so let's take a minute to talk about Tag. Tag, I think you and I have agreed, Tag was the gayest new X-Men in the Academy X.
or or he was the most loyal.
I could see that. I could absolutely
Because
see that.
like he could have been like, "Hey, Julian's my friend. That's like it. It's kind of like like that's my man. Like that's my best friend.
He's always
We're the
like
best
at
friends."
the very least, he is the number one right hand man
Yes.
for like each thing. Like he's a right hand to Quentin, he's a right hand to Julian. He does like him another psychic boy, which is why I always wondered why him and Prodigy. Maybe it was because they were on opposite teams. Maybe Julian, or I mean, maybe
Maybe he didn't like David. He didn't
and
like
that might be it. I was gonna say maybe Brian and David are the real Romeo and Juliet of the Academy
that's
X.
cold. That's
But
cold.
no, I
Same like, hey, it's not I'm for same sex same
right.
sex racial, like same
You know,
race.
I think it was just last year we got our first like black male gay couple. Um, and it was brand new. I don't remember what book it was in, but like we just got our first black, or it might have even been this year. You know, it is
I'm
May.
thinking of
Um,
Tempo. I'm thinking it was Tempo and that one girl from the Marauder out of the three.
let's find out.
Uh
So no, I think that I mean Tag was always he was always very like
it could have gone either way. It could have gone
right. If
like I
anything,
just
I
like
think that he would be the guy with the close friendships. You know, like
wow,
the famous
the
statue of
the
friendship.
Achilles,
Yeah.
the Achilles
Um,
thing. Yeah, like
I
hilarious.
I think that I think that he was extremely well queer coded at best because going back I forgot like Anol's first like you know really like debut in Academy X was toward the end. It was issue 13 out of the
With
Academy X, which was 1 out of 15. um
which was
and he
after
never
Rockstar died.
explicitly says he's gay. He just says that he was the teacher that he felt most comfortable talking to. And I think
Yeah,
that they were intentionally vague about it because, nowadays, like the LGBTQ plus community is being called groomers. Back then, they were being called recruiters for gay teachers. So there was still that narrative. They just had a different name for it. And we don't even see North Star as like we see him like once or twice as a teacher, but never teaching his classes. We honestly see him predominantly like the issue that he's murdered. So, which also kind of begs the question of like, how are we supposed to empathize with this character that we were just introduced to other than the fans who are fans of North Star because he was the first openly gay superhero.
right. I never really saw it. I never really saw it like he was, nor John Paul was trying to recruit him. I just like
No,
it just
no,
happened.
right.
Like
He was just
it just kind of fell in like that. It
yeah,
happened. Hey, these are
absolutely.
happy accidents. This is comic
Yeah.
books.
Well,
Yes.
I know that Anol, like, he said that he chose, North Star so that he could have, a counselor at school that he could talk to about being gay.
Right.
Or, like I said, it was very coded. They never even said the words, you know, I'm gay.
Right.
Um,
No, they just said like he's like me.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And like
I got
Sean was like, you can talk to me too, like trying to like let him know without saying the words, like I'm a lesbian.
right. No,
They
it's
talk about it. I know that they do in the next, in the next bit,
yeah.
Childhood's End, and we'll talk about that next time.
Right.
But yeah,
Though it's real like a note like this book is just like the opener for all these great characters. It's like
Yes,
such a chess. Like
it was a
like
who's who get to know ya, and I
yeah,
love
and
that.
like we said, like, okay, these are the nice ones, and we're like, wait, these other ones are kind of cool too. Pixie, a Noel. Oh snap! I got a Cecily.
Right,
No,
right.
like no, like the book just kept getting like it was Dawson's Creek meets Harry Potter meets X-Men, and that's cool.
I
Like
can
that. It's a
absolutely see that.
mix.
That's exactly right.
I
Also, we don't meet the Paragons really
know at all.
until Rain Sinclair is just about to leave. Like she
Oh,
has like one singular happy moment as a teacher, finally like growing out of her like ex-student role
oh,
before
okay. I have
before
a
she
question for you, real
chooses to
quick.
go for Kiss and someone
Wait,
3 years younger.
Do you think Danny and Rain are a couple?
Absolutely, absolutely. Hold on, I made a note. Hold
Really?
on, I made a note. I made a note.
Okay, all right, go for it. Hit me. Throw it at me.
Um, when Danny finally leaves, in issue, I think it's um,
Some people think couple. I just think they're just super
oh,
loyal.
it's an issue 12. Danny says, "I know she is beautiful. I know she's sweet, and I know that she is like she calls her beautiful and like kind and loving.
Yeah.
Like it was very for me like it felt like a gay confession. It was like, don't get me wrong, I know that she's beautiful and I know that she is kind-hearted and I know that she is super skilled, but like Danny reinforces Wyatt. So I mean, because like not only is she older than him, but she started growing up before he did. Like, and so like that, and regardless of like the Juliet laws or
Yeah.
how far apart that they were in age, because like it's still the fact that she was his teacher, and I feel like
Hey, we have whole sections of pornography based off this one topic.
right,
It's a
right,
it's
right, right, right. Is it, yes, it is bad.
it's really bad.
But also, I thought it was very, very choice that
Huh?
Emma is the one who is chastising and preaching about the ethics of like being a teacher. And I'm like, what about the ethics of being a like therapist? Like
Well,
you
no,
are
well,
giving
here's the thing. Nobody
ethics
knows about that
teaching?
though. Nobody knows about that.
Like I thought it was rich. I thought it was genuinely, that was a moment I was like, Emma, I really was on your team for like a good, like 4 books.
Couple, yeah,
And now you're taking the high and mighty route? Like, no
come
ma'am.
on. At
Not
some point, we
so
gotta let that
like
go. Come
you are
on,
still sleeping in that man's bed. Like, don't even. Like, and
come
here's
on,
the
man.
thing.
We gotta let that go.
Say
We
what?
gotta let that go. Yeah, yes, Emma.
Oh, in the Krakoa era,
No,
absolutely.
no,
But in
even then,
2004,
even then,
no. Like
no,
in 2000,
even then. No. I say, you gotta let that go because people think, oh, Emma just stopped being a supervillain because of New X-Men. No, she had been pro superhero 7 years prior as the headmistress of Generation X, and we have not one, five of the alumni who became X-Men. That's more than the New Mutants. That's more than the new X-Men. And but no one ever talks about it.
I will say, like in the Krakoan era, and even going back, like the way she handled Wither was really like a turning point. Because was I on Danny's side of like I don't trust you, like you're still a supervillain? I was a bit, and like, but she proved herself again and again. Does she stumble and fall? Yes, but like mutants are humans, just like anybody else. Um, can we talk about the ghost that like and
Oh,
Kim
Jeffrey Garrett.
Prodigy's
Oh
sister?
God.
You know,
That was a
I
nice little tie into New Extreme X-Men. I really like how they did that. That was nice. I liked it. I liked it. I was digging it.
I did too, and I really hope that we get to like, I'm not sure if we have or not, but I'd really like to see David come through the or Jeffrey, the ghost
Yeah,
Jeffrey,
yeah.
walk through the waiting room and like come back on Krakoa, because the whole thing all through Academy X and the first 15, like, also, Kim calling out Noriko for being obnoxious is hysterical because she is. And she is the only one who's like, I could be a mutant. I really could. And she's like, kid, like, just because you talk to a ghost doesn't mean you're an X-Men. And she's like, wow, David was right. You are obnoxious. Like, let me live. Like, let me dream. And,
Get him.
and like, even toward the end, like when with this prom going on, like Jeffrey's just making small talk to Noriko, and she's like, "Oh, I better be an asshole so that he doesn't ask me to this dance." And he was like, "Okay, well, good luck being alone and single. I'll be a ghost kid with my friends." Like, but the whole thing with Jeffrey is that he's not allowed to grow up, and now finally we have an era in which they can grow up, and I think that he should be able to.
I think there. You know what? See, there should be something where, like, I use the X-Men Infinity book. Talk about every other mutant. Like, get like because let's face it, they're not going to show up in the main books.
They're not.
I'm sorry. And in the Infinity books, they have done well. So
Yeah.
talk each book. You talk about how everybody is doing. Everybody who is not on a main book gets like a small story to tell. 3 stories. Like we can go with Maggot, Marrow, Cecilia Reyes, and just go back from there.
I love that. I love that. I would love to
Hire
do
me,
one.
Marvel.
Say
Hire
what?
me.
Hire him.
Yeah,
I would love
no,
to do a Jay story. I really loved him. Like going back in this
no,
reread,
a Guthrie family story. A
I would
Guthrie,
love a family story. I would absolutely love a family story.
a full Infinity book where it's just like the
The
Guthries having
Guthries.
not Thanksgiving, just having family
No,
dinner.
it has to be Thanksgiving. And honestly, I will write the Guthrie Thanksgiving. I will write the Guthrie Thanksgiving. Family reunion. I would like, because here's the thing. I've got like way too many cousins that nobody's gonna believe. Like just on my dad's side, I have 13 first cousins,
Right.
and so like Thanksgiving is our thing.
Yeah.
And when asking my brothers and sisters about like which powers we would like want the most,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous, but like all but Cannonball, all of us were like, I want air power. My sister wanted wings. My younger brother wanted like metal skin that he could, like change. And I was like, that's the Guthries. Plus, I'm the oldest of 5, biological and 4 adopted. So like I'm used to having a big family. I don't think that I think that I could write that many characters without getting lost or forgetting a character. I would love to write the Guthries.
But one thing, and a lot of people are not gonna like it. Get rid of Smasher. I hate Izzy. She is such a cop.
She is such a cop.
No, she's
I mean, and
okay with
here's
the
the thing.
Shi'ar
I've
enslaving
got cop
people.
in-laws in my family. I feel like I could even write like a story about that,
Get him
about
back
like
with Danny. Damn it. Get him back with Danny. She's
I
waiting for him. He's
I
the one person who could probably get her away from Rain.
Here's the thing. I loved there was not a lot good
Danny is strictly
with the
Dickly
New
when she's with
Mutants
Sam.
movie. Say what?
Danny is strictly Dickly when she's with Sam.
I feel like out of all of the male characters that we could pair Danny up with, if the guys, I think that Cannonball would probably be up there.
Also, Warpath.
The New Mutants movie didn't have really any good. I mean, there were a lot of things wrong with the New Mutants movie, but one of the things that I really, really appreciated is they blended the queer metaphor of the mutants and the queer metaphor and the AIDS metaphor of werewolves, and kind of brought those two together with Moonstar and Wolfsbane in the movie. I thought that that played really well. I know that there were some diehard fans who were like, "That didn't happen," and I was like, "Yeah, but there's other cultural ties to this that like make this 100% valid and enjoyable."
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, let's be real. All right, with the New Mutants, I'm pretty sure everybody's hooked up with everybody. I'm pretty
And,
sure.
and and that's the thing with mutants, you
Yeah,
know, like through the subtext in the
yeah,
Krakoan era, they've basically confirmed all of the NSFW art, like fan art on the
yeah, basically.
interwebs. And so like if there's a ship, like just know in your heart that like it probably happened once, you
Right,
know,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
until we can, you know, see it for ourselves.
Right, yeah. I
Um,
mean, like, just I'm really, really surprised there's no X-Men porn. Really surprised, right? Isn't that weird?
I think you should look harder, because I think you should look harder.
This is
That's all I'm
stupid.
gonna say.
You stupid. You
That's all
stupid.
I'm gonna
You
say.
stupid. Um, okay, so with this new team, we get like Wither on the New Mutants. We get a Icarus on the Hellions, and like
Yeah.
Icarus, like I don't even want
Um,
to be here, bro.
honestly, I liked that. I like I said, I thought it was genius that they switched. I you know because you switch out of classes all the time. Sometimes you vibe better with people than you, or like people change friend groups in
All
college
the
and in
time.
high school too. You know, yeah, all the time. So I thought that that was great. I thought that um, I think that like can we set aside, can we talk about David now? David
Yeah.
Elaine.
Being where?
I let's see. Let's talk about issue 10, like where he wants to like oh, before we even do that, let's get back to like the co-leading, okay? Cuz I want to talk about like my first impression of Prodigy. I like he originally came cuz he didn't want to be a field leader. He wanted to go to school. He wanted to live a
And he
normal
did
life.
everything he didn't want to do. He's
And he
everything he didn't want to do.
literally like he did not like he was like, I want to go to school, I don't want to be an X-Men. And at first, you know, like
You're like,
I
okay, yeah, okay, we get it.
right, because he doesn't step up to be the leader
At all.
he wants at all. And so like we said, then Elixir's like, I'll do it, and Moonstar was like, no.
Like,
And
sit your
then
ass down. Like,
right, and then
just sit down.
And then Wind Dancer comes up and is like, I'll do it. And she steps up to the plate, and when I tell you, not a soul right off the bat respected her, like, and her authority. I'm like genuinely like it was the most like and internalized misogyny. People were like, oh, okay, yes, you know, Wind Dancer's the thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
she's
they
cool. Like,
immediately
she's
turned to Prodigy. And like Prodigy's like, I've got an idea. And then she's like, what about me being the leader? And they immediately call her emotional. And then like she does tell like she was like, hey, you didn't want this. I stepped up. Let me step up. And I will say, Prodigy respected the hell out of her. He was like, okay, yep, you're right. I didn't want to lead. I, you know, just wanted to be the brains. Um, I thought that it was cool that they co-led like Cannonball and Danny.
yeah,
Um,
that's yeah, I saw that too. That was kind of nice.
I love the callbacks. I when I say I love the callbacks in X-Men, because if we don't know it already, it makes us want to go back and learn it.
Right.
Like keep like that's what I love the most about this Krakoan age. But like David has a like David, I wonder if David Elaine has anxiety, and like because he's scared to lead. He's scared to be useless in issue 10. He's scared to be OP and overpowered. And like, he has like a crippling fear that he put like
Put
own
himself
mental
above
blocks in.
others. Like he know he can be above everybody else. I think that's my thing with him. He knows he could be so much above everybody else, but he wants to keep himself humble.
Have
He wants to
you
keep that like common, like he doesn't want to go beast.
That's valid. And that's something else I want to talk about, especially with like
This guy.
in reflection of like Krakoa era versus Academy X.
Yeah.
Because I'm googling real quick
Oh yeah.
because
Okay. You good?
what book what book was this?
I kind of want to know more about Tag though. We don't really know anything about him.
He was very much a cameo queen, except for his radical, like super dope green and black like telepathy.
That was
I
cool.
also I also why have the telepaths, like all of the telepaths, including Danny Moonstar, not expounded their telepathy? Because he goes to Emma for help in dealing with his mental blocks because she's a all-around telepath. And I'm like, isn't this
What
the
that
school to
mean?
learn to be an all-around telepath? Why
Well,
aren't you guys expanding your powers?
well, actually, actually, uh, somebody explained this to me, and what Emma does is kind of like she think of it like surgeons. You got neurosurgeons, brain surgeons, heart surgeons. Each one are like specialized. Danny is a specialized surgeon because
Okay.
with her fear and dream powers, she's essentially Freddy Krueger.
Okay. And that's
Okay.
the other thing I think that we really need to hold into account is that these are all his worst fears,
Yeah.
amplified by somebody facilitating his fears. And so like we didn't see any of the great things that he could have accomplished if he had kept some of his empathy or humanity. So like it really was like he went to them and asked, "What's the worst possible thing?" Yeah, okay, I guess I'm not going to do that. And like he didn't look for the best possible solutions. Like I don't know if maybe Destiny being there, like I mean she was dead at the time, but like maybe if they did
Oh
that
God, I hate
again,
that. God, I hate that old bitch.
I
God,
mean
she's so
she,
useless. All she
I,
does is say,
I,
no,
I
no,
think
no, no, no. Let me do an impression of Irene Adler.
okay,
This is going to happen in the future. Oh, it didn't happen. Oh, it was one of the multiple futures. I love Raven. She's crazy though.
yeah, I mean maybe it wouldn't have been any more hopeful. I mean, I just I like it reads like he's got massive anxiety because he was, like
Yeah,
I said, afraid to lead, afraid to be useless, afraid to be
he didn't want to be an
overpowered.
X-Man. He doesn't want to. He wants to be extraordinary, but he wants to be like the human way. He actually, you know what? He's kind of. I would say he's kind of like he's a self-hating mutant in a way, and
Yes,
I think that's where the block comes from.
I think you're absolutely right because he doesn't. I mean, like his mutation is to be smart, and then he gets mocked for it on all the time,
Yeah,
and
he's an Urkel.
he it is one of those invisible mutations that like, oh gee, if it wasn't for the things that I could do, I could live a normal life. And I think that I guess that it's a bit more.
It's like Cipher. It's basically like Doug.
Yeah,
It's a deeper expression of Doug, except like with the languages. Like I can totally see Xavier telling Doug, like, "You sure you really want to be here?" Like it's like I'm
I
not
mean, and
your mutation is
he didn't
invalid.
even want to, right, he didn't even want to bother Doug because he really didn't have an offensive power, and him knowing he could have lived his life completely passing as a human, but like it's and going back to
It would
like
have been
the mutant
okay.
is
It
a
would have
clear
been great.
metaphor, right?
It would have been amazing.
And I think that like going back to my mutant as a queer metaphor, it's like oh, he's a straight guy living a straight life. He's straight passing. Like what would it do to claim to be bisexual? When you only are attracted to like 15% of guys. Like the mostly straights. That's how I view human passing mutants. Because of their proximity to privilege.
Okay.
And in the New Mutants, in the new Krakoa era of New Mutants, we see Empath being resurrected, and they have these philosophical debates of did his powers make it, would he have been a sociopath without his mutation, or did his mutation turn him into a sociopath? And I
Oh
think that
yeah, yeah.
out of all of the classes of mutants, we have the highest amount of mutations causing sociopaths in Academy X, because
Right.
we see it with Wallflower,
Yeah.
we see it literally on the page with Prodigy, and then there's one more,
Wither.
Wither, um like so many of these could be turning them into sociopaths. And
I think it's really funny that the Hellions have the least amount of sociopaths on in their group.
that is fact.
Like Julian, he's
He would
conscious
be the
as hell,
one.
but he
He
ain't
would be
gonna
the
kill
one.
anybody. He's not gonna
Right.
kill anybody.
Right.
He's
And
not like Cecily. She's not gonna kill like Santa.
right.
He'll fuck you up. He ain't gonna
Right.
kill you. He'll take you to the hospital. He'll
Yeah.
joke like he'll help you with Santa would help you with physical therapy.
Yes.
And then laugh at you while you do it. God, gotta love Santo.
I love Santo. And like honestly, I do think he's the one that like out of the Krakoan era, he's the one most missed. I
Yeah.
really think he stole a lot of people's hearts just being genuine, because was he a jerk for a lot of the time? Yeah.
That's
But
the
that was
best part.
something that, he cared enough to be a jerk to some people, like a Knoll, like, keep complaining, I'll rip the other arm off, make you symmetrical. Quit your bitching. But it
No,
was real. He was real, like
no, and what he did with Nolan Pixie after Messiah Complex, he's like, listen, you couple of nerds.
right. Either
like,
if you want me, you gotta have these two.
you guys should be on the team. I'll get off the team if it makes way for you guys.
Yeah.
You bunch of nerds. I'm like, this is the juggernaut I always wanted.
Right. I loved that, like I said, the whole North Star death thing.
Oh,
Like first we get Wolfsbane's like one, like circa Buffy and Angel, like Buffy's one moment of happiness. As soon as she has her one like precious teacher moment, like that's when it all comes collapsing in, and she's like, oh, I guess I gotta run, before
she couldn't get away with it, man. She couldn't get there's no way she could have gone off and gotten away with it like scot free. There's no way Marvel would let that happen.
No.
She had to pay.
And like
I hate that we have those moral standards. Like,
well, and I think that with her gruesome, transcoded death, which I think was later on, not that I, again, that may fall into the,
I
I don't
didn't.
know.
Honestly, when she died, I didn't think of it as a trans death. I just thought it as like an ethnic death. Like,
Well, it was like, well, and that could be too, it's the passing death, the privileged
yeah,
passing, because like we have American history where that's the case, the Freeman of Jones Creek with Mahershala Ali and Matthew McConaughey, that whole movie's about how,
what happened with Baldwin Hills.
yeah,
Oh yeah, like a dam burst on the black area on the black uh, God, it's a great story. All right, so there's this area that was deemed the Black Beverly Hills. It was just
okay,
it was better. It
yeah,
but a dam burst and killed everybody. And then they had helicopters on TV showing the people on TV, literally showing black people dying on a hill. And that's where the term comes from, dying on a hill.
I had no idea. Honestly, so many of our
American
like
history is
common
messed
colloquial.
up. Seriously, I don't. This is why I tell my students, history is so cool. It's so messed up. America
Right.
ain't shit.
We have to really evaluate what, like, how the word, the language we use every day,
Yeah.
because like my mom, I watched a video and my mom was like, all right, enough out of you, peanut gallery. And I was like, that's racist, right? Like, who, like, the peanut gallery was for the poorest of the poor, and oftentimes who were gerrymandered into being the poorest of the poor, the black people. And like, so much of our linguistics is carelessly or intentionally like whitewashed, so we don't even remember the history, and it comes a part of our everyday language. I think and I agree, history is so important. Thank you for telling me that. I didn't know that bit.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I Hey, living memory, not just X-Men. This is why I think the X-Men are still a black metaphor.
They absolutely are. They absolutely have to be. I love what they're doing in Bishop's War College right now. I
Oh yeah,
because
that's
from
great. No, I mean,
because from
like,
what I've seen, they've race swapped a lot of the white characters into being black, and I love a universe where that happens, and I love a space where that could be without riling up the sea of generations of fans
right,
who
right.
hate change. But also, like, it is important to remember that the X-Men is such a vital allegory for minorities of every kind, because when you pick up a Marvel's voices, whether you pick up heritage, the majority of the mutants in there are like or the majority of the characters in there are like Japanese mutants. We do need a lot more mutants than just Japanese, I recognize.
Right.
um but like, even Comunidades, like the first Latino superhero in Marvel was Richter,
Right.
and he, was the first gay kiss in Marvel. So
Yeah.
like, he is
Wow.
the first
Wow, that's a
Latinx,
legacy.
he is the first Latinx,
Yeah.
X-Men. And it's so important that, even when you pick up the Native American one,
Uh,
uh Marvel's voices,
Warpath,
uh say what?
Warpath, Risk.
Right, Warpath, Risk, Snowbird in
Yeah,
Alpha Flight. The majority of
Forge. Yeah.
minority characters, whether we wanted to, with the exception of Marvel's Voices Legacy, the majority of them are mutants. So like, they hold such a vital part for all minorities, and like, especially Marvel's Voices Pride. When you pick up the Marvel's Voices Pride, 4 out of 6, 2 out of 3 stories are mutant stories. There are other gay characters elsewhere, but the mutants have the strongest gay history and the predominance. That's why I absolutely loved the X-Men voices, because they got one from each and every demographic of minorities, including Bobby for, the price
Right.
Voices Pride.
I see the like how the appeal, like how it's good, but at the same time, I kind of feel like it's pandering. It feels like it's pandering. It's like when
It is. Here's the
like,
thing.
and
It
I
is
feel like Marvel
pandering.
panders a lot to everybody, especially the LGBT plus community.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Like they basically said like everything Claremont said is true. Like making you happy.
I
Everything
see. Now, I don't know if that's pandering, or if that's in some way, and I don't.
I guess I never really saw that. Okay, I guess for the fans who never really saw the subtext like that, like I kind of thought like, hey, this is just a group, a race of people who just happen to have like they have superpowers,
Yeah.
and then you just kind of like went on with that.
Yeah.
But like, but say like when people go deeper with it, I'm like, okay, I see it, but it also like I don't know. It's like I'm
Well, I
two
mean,
minds
it's
about it.
important to remember that, like, there were, I mean, like, during the, satanic craze of the 70s, and,
Right.
like, there was court cases, like, American court cases saying that comic books were indoctrinating kids into, like, Satanism and, like, all of this
Weird.
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
There were, we weren't allowed to say the words gay until, North Star in 1989.
There.
Um, so there were so many things that, like, Chris Claremont did want to do that he wasn't allowed at the time, that so much of it has to be retconned because, I mean, this is just the third year that we've gotten, these pandered comics.
Okay. Oh, also, okay.
Um,
No, real. Not everything Claremont wanted to do is a great idea. The whole thing with Nightcrawler,
wholeheartedly, absolutely.
the Nightcrawler, Mystique, Destiny thing does not make any sense. Okay, Mystique is a shapeshifter. That doesn't mean she changes. Her literal name means disguise. It's a
I,
disguise. You're not
I,
supposed to know. It's not. She doesn't turn into another thing. She can't produce sperm, and Destiny
I
wasn't
would push
there.
back on that. I would push back on that. I think that Mystique was largely created to be both genders and genderless, because literally when we go back and see the publication of, like, Mystique and Destiny you know before Destiny dies, Mystique has to turn into a man to dance with her in public, so, like,
Well, that was
I
that was just to protect them because they would have been killed because you got to remember,
right, the
hate crimes
time,
still
yeah,
happen.
exactly.
Like gay hate crimes,
Right. Well,
racial
they
hate crimes
were
still happen.
absolutely,
Yeah, you
yeah.
got to be careful of what you were doing. Very
Exactly. So I
mindful.
think that, I mean, here's the thing. I think that I think the Azazel retcon works. I do like having a lineal, because I'm one of those people that thinks most mutants are descended from, like, demigods or, like, hybrid something or others.
Right.
And um but I loved that Chris Claremont pushed the boundaries of what could be, because Mystique, I mean, just Mystique being alive is, I mean, it's right now when we're seeing trans outlaws, for somebody who gender is literally a construct and a preference
And
because she could
Mystique ain't
choose.
shit though. She tried to kill her baby by throwing her
Here's
off
the
a
thing.
waterfall though.
We've
If
we've
she's
been over
hey,
this. I will defend
if she's
Mystique and
trans,
Destiny.
hey, if she's
Uh,
trans, I'm good on her. But her as a person, she ain't shit.
Not a good
Her
person.
wife,
I just
she ain't
not a good
shit.
person.
Okay,
Mystique is. I'm
this is
not
not
here to
this.
defend Mystique's character. Just her gender identity.
Yeah, no. Her gender identity. I'm totally
Totally valid. Her actions, absolutely horrid. Absolutely, like lock her up for her actions.
and
Absolutely. But
anybody who says
that's
they're
another thing that this when I said that, the Krakoa era really fixes all of the trials, tribulations, and, like, you know, uh obstacles that Academy X faces. I mean, just down even to the Wither story of, like, legality and villains, and going back to, like, Blob in 15. Like,
yeah.
they gave them second chances, and they made it to where, like, it wasn't like they have a sanctuary for people who accidentally caused harm with their powers, if that makes sense.
Also, can we talk about the secret villain of this series?
Tell me.
Garrison, Sean Garrison,
Which
Lori's
one is Sean?
father.
Who's? Oh, yes! Yes, we can. Yes, we
He is
can.
a piece of shit.
I
He's Purple Man. I
I
always thought they
do
were trying to get Purple Man, but they couldn't get him. They couldn't get him, so they're like, "Hey, let's just come up with a guy with the same powers."
right, and it's not the exact same powers, but it was the same goal with a different means.
Yeah,
I think that the pheromone stuff,
What he did to Blob was messed up. That was really
Yes,
messed up.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think that, um, like I said, the reason we really haven't seen, we were text on Twitter. The reason that we really haven't seen Wallflower again is because, like, Akihiro Fang has all of the powers that she does with Wolverine claws. Like,
Right.
why would we, you know, like rustle up Wallflower when we've got Akihiro,
Right.
and but no, he was the true villain of the story, and it's telling to see that, like, again, I go back to the question of, is Wallflower, Wither, and Prodigy, like,
Yes.
mutants whose abilities could lead them to apathy, or emotionlessness.
Yeah, I could like I can see it. It's rough. It's really rough because
I agree.
no, because these kids don't even get like we're in the good part where everything is literally peaches and cream. They're
It's
going through
literally
a little bit,
paradise.
just a little bit of hardship.
Right.
No, you read M Day, you're like, oh man, that's really messed up. Man,
I'm
he'll
excited
sink
to get into
again.
MJ in the next video, because, like I said,
But
my
I
dad was,
we're doing this
my
again.
dad's army.
Yeah.
So,
How did
having a
Jenny become
government
the
job.
domino of the group? How did she become? Did she always want to be domino? Is that
Who?
Danny? She was acting like Domino. She had the same thing as Domino. She
Yeah.
she's always wanted to be
Yeah.
Domino. She's worshipped Domino. That's
I
dope.
think it's
I like
interesting also, like, in this construct, like in the futuristic fear construct that Emma and Danny did for Prodigy, that I think it's very interesting that he surrounded himself with Tessa or Sage,
yeah,
um, because it makes sense that he would want to have a calculating mind near him and around him and working with
someone to
him.
hold him accountable.
Yeah. And I like that was something that we really didn't get to see in the future, vision that they did, because, Tesla was more or less just his right hand man. Not that that's, all she was doing
No,
or good for. But we
right.
also, that only lasted literally one issue, like we didn't
Yeah,
get like an extended look at that.
that
It
how
literally
that
went,
works.
yeah, it literally went right back into high school drama. And, like, here's the thing, there was, it's relatable, it's believable high school drama.
Right.
It's, people breaking up and people cheating, and, but surrounded by danger rooms and ghosts, and, like,
It's just with Josh. The whole thing with Josh, like he was with
I
Rain
I just
and
don't
he
like.
dated Lori, and then everybody found out about Rain, and then like
I know that, like,
it's
I
so
grow to like
crazy.
him
That's so
in Childhood's End, like where he helps X-23, but then again he jumps, again he goes back to jumping around. Like, once Rain and Wallflower are no longer a thing, he is just like, he's the horny lonely boy. Like, that is Elixir, and it makes me wonder who on the five, and like my immediate, like, it's probably Home. Like,
no Tempest. I think it's Eva Bell.
do you think Tempest would go for Elixir?
Yeah, she has a thing. Well, she did have a thing for Cyclops, which oh well, I don't know. You know what?
Because,
Like
like,
you said
here's the thing
earlier.
though, but Cyclops ain't Elixir, and Elixir ain't Cyclops,
Yeah, I know. But like you said, like in this era of Krakoa, it's probably happened a couple of times.
When on Krakoa, do as the Krakoans.
No,
Um,
I'm just saying that like this era is really airy. It's very light. It's very well put together. I like that whole little subplot where you find out that Lori's mom was like abused by her dad, who was actually
what?
a therapist that Emma and Scott were hiring. You're like,
To come to the school.
and
Like,
he said no. He said he couldn't do it because he was too busy.
And then he was like, "Oh my, like obviously, like it makes me wonder if he knew that she was pregnant. Did she escape from him before she gave birth? Like I'm because
It's a Purple
it
Man
seems
situation. It's
it
either or.
yeah,
Like she got
it
away.
seems as if he knew that he had a daughter, or like as soon as he heard that, about her powers from Wither, he was like, "Tell me more. Tell me everything about this student."
Oh, okay. All right. All right. This is just a theory.
Okay.
Theory time.
Okay.
You know Nurse Annie, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Nurse Annie was a human nurse who was at the school um around like it was around 2001.
Okay.
She was a nurse for Havoc who fell in when he woke up, they fell in love, they had a whole thing. She
Gotcha.
has a son. Um she the kid's a mutant and the kid and the nurse like the kid's father was a mutant and he was very abusive. So what if Sean Garrison is also like this kid's father?
I could
I'll,
see
I'll
that. Like,
like I'll send you the links. I'll send you the links where
I could absolutely see him doing that. Like, there was this Netflix series out of like Our Father or something like that,
Hmm.
where there was a guy, like a fertility specialist, who inseminated all of the
Oh
women.
right, yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
heard
know the
about
one I'm
that
talking about.
case.
I could definitely see him abusing his powers in that way, and like trying to father as many kids as he could in a very gross inseminating kind of way.
That's
Um,
just weak. That's weak.
um, I I can see that. Things that I did love toward the end of the book for Academy X
Yeah.
was I mean, as somebody who wanted wind powers, which is probably why like I am a wind dancer defender and why I love her so much, is because I mean, who doesn't want to fly? Who doesn't want to have the fear of falling taken from them? And so when they finally, I mean, I would have been, David's little sister Kim, I'd have been like, "Can I go to flying class? Can I go to flying class? Okay, I get it. I'm not a mutant. Can I go to flying class?" Like that would have been my like, please, can I go to flying class?
I mean,
Like,
yeah, like come on, Kim was great. Like she was
she was
like
great. I loved everything about her. She was the embodiment of a sassy 12-year-old sister. I think
you wanted to be Kim. You were like Kim. I would be just like this, Kim. Like
right.
I want to
And
do
if
everything.
I wasn't a mutant, I would have been Kim. I'd have been like, "Nope, I'm a mutant. Doesn't matter. I saw a ghost. I'm a mutant." I but I think that
Okay,
it's
wait,
important.
real quick. Wouldn't it be crazy if Disney actually constructed their own version of the X Mansion with like a working class X Mansion?
It would, like, who wouldn't go? I mean, granted, Florida right now is kind of spooky
Right.
as is. But like once we figure out the like end of the Christo-fascist state that is currently Florida, yes, Disney absolutely, because people would travel. People would absolutely go to Disney World for an X-Men event. I mean, like this year is really the first year. I mean, we've cultivated the X-Men fandom online and through communities, since 2019, really, with the resurgence of the Krakoan era. And,
Man, that was
there are so many people who aren't caught up, but are just still loving the vibe and loving, everything about it, that we have, the uncanny experience that's happening, this
it's
year, as
it's
well
so
as
crazy. It's so
the Hellfire Gala in
July. Oh man.
right. So you know, I've been talking about doing, like I can't decide if I want to do a gala look that's been done and like be characters that people could recognize, or if we just wanted to like, these are our mutants and this is what we would look like, serving at the Hellfire Gala. Um,
Crazy.
but I mean, the fandom is there, and people remember, the animated series and X-Men Evolution and even the Fox movies.
Yeah.
I think that having a X, like, and it wouldn't even need to necessarily be, it could be they don't even need to construct all of the X-Men mansion. They could just do a projection and just sit in the seats and you fly with the flyers and the X-Men. And then I really think that they need to codify a national sport or like a mutant ball or something. Like they need to have a sport,
Oh,
you know. I
it'd
know
be
that
like
the
Quidditch.
X-Men love them, their baseball. And
It,
I loved that we even got to see like Iceman teaching them how to use their powers with sports. I think
that's
that that's great. Um, uh,
no. Something I really liked is the pairings, the bed pairings. Like
okay.
you had Surge with you had Surge with a dust, and it was just
Yes,
the odd
yes.
couple.
Like switch partners. I thought that like honestly, while they had great synergy as opponents, one of my favorite things about the last issue in 15 is when they finally do come together after a month and some change or a year and some change
They
of
were
being
so bad.
enemies.
They did not like each other.
No, no. But like even I mean even that's a trope, like enemies to friends, is the
It's
people you
very Golden
originally were.
Girls.
Yes, yes.
It was mean spirited Golden Girls.
It, I love
No,
it.
no, it
I
was
did.
Sophia and Blanche. Like Dust was calling Nori a slut. Nori was calling
She wasn't
Soraya.
like I will defend my Soraya. She was just like I'm just not gonna show some skin, and Noriko was like, well, I'm showing skin right now. What's good? What's the problem? Um,
She just said
I
me. That's just me. It's like, oh, you want to be under the impressive man, the patriarch? You're like, God damn it. Not this, not this.
everything like I really it makes me really truly wonder like that had to be more projection from her family because like her family talked about like the shame that she was bringing. So every act of defiance, whether it was the blue hair or the revealing clothes, was in antithesis of how she was raised. And I think that that's what she was attacking Soraya for, but it was a misunderstanding because Soraya doesn't need to reject her upbringing. Like even her mother was surprised that she was still wearing the hijab. Or the burqa.
Yeah. Yeah, I
They
got
say
you.
it's a burqa, but it's not a burqa. I know it's not. I just don't remember the name for it.
A garment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, her veil, her coverings. Even her mom was like, "I'm surprised you're still wearing that." So I think like for Soraya, it was a reclamation of her upbringing versus like a rejection, and like both are valid. Like in the words of Emma Watson, like feminism is not a stick to pick up and beat other women with.
Yeah.
And I think that like Noriko really needs to learn
Ease
that
up.
lesson. And I would love to see I would love for these characters to get more you know uh
Tension.
spotlights. I would love to see a redemption story of Noriko and Soraya, like being the Soraya that she has always been and will always be, and just being like, hey, I'm glad you learned from it, like I forgive you, like, we're mutant sisters and proud. I would love to do, like I said, I would love to write like Jay going home for like Thanksgiving or like Thanksgiving on Krakoa. Um and I would love to yeah, I would love to see. Yeah, because Jay was just, I fell in love with Jay all over again. I know it's going to be hard in childhood's end, and because that's really all I could remember from him. But he was just such a good guy. He was so respectful. I love when Noriko showed up with, Soraya's garments and was like, "Hey, Jay sent me." She was still a jerk about it, but she was like, "Hey, Jay sent me." I do think it's interesting because I remember from like Quest for Magic when Magic was like, I want to bring all these people back, and Piotr was like, you can't, dead is dead, and I'm like, aren't you both resurrected? One, two, going back to Academy X, they're like, we need to separate North Star's head and like saw it off so that
Oh
the hand doesn't bring him back to life. So like
God,
they
that was rough.
emphatically do have ways to resurrect people, and
Now
it's
they
not
do.
just the Phoenix
Now they
Force.
do. Just, but hey, I like the fact that that was a side effect off of Wolverine Enemy of the State, which is probably one of my favorite Wolverine stories. And I don't like a lot of Wolverine stories.
Valid.
Um, it's so good. But
It's so good.
I gotta get somebody to review that with me. No, but okay. I have my X-Men pitch. War College should have been about Bishop starting up the XSE, the Xavier, the police force that he came in with,
Okay.
and he would have gathered all the future members. He would have asked for his sister. He would have asked for Randall and Malcolm. He would have asked like there are a few people out there that who are from the future that are
Yeah.
all around the same time.
Cable and
So,
Rachel,
yeah,
not from the same timeline, but at least time travelers.
yeah, like but but like there's three that appeared in X Factor back in the late '90s. They were part of Havoc's team.
Okay.
Um, they came back from here. They basically wanted to fix all the future stuff, all the past stuff, so their future is better.
Okay.
So bring all of them back and make it a team. It's like, okay, we're gonna go out. We know what happens, so we're gonna deal with that, and we can't talk about it. It's bad.
I think
Make it
that
like a
there
new
should
X Force. Like
I
there are
think that
kids.
there should be like a new time X Force, yeah. Who like their whole
No,
thing is
but
like,
no, but no, but it wouldn't be X Force though. I wanted to have a different name because if I was the if I was okay, I'm going to tell you how I would come in if I would took over as head of X. I would come
okay,
in, fire Teeny, Leah, and Vita. Say, like, all right, you're out. I'm bringing in Mark Wade. I'm
okay,
bringing in I'm bringing in Chuck Austin. Let's bring some controversy.
okay,
Like I'm bringing I'm keeping Al Ewing because he's a gold he's gold.
okay,
Keeping Jerry Dugan. He's gold. I'm bringing
okay,
Karen Gillian. He's gold.
okay.
Uh,
I'm glad that I heard like
the
I
top
don't
three.
know. That's a lot of women that you're cutting, and there was
No,
only
no,
one,
no. No. Hear me out. I'm bringing in Kelly Thompson from Captain Marvel.
Okay, okay.
She's
Now, how do you? Okay, so speaking of the
oh,
Marvels and
I got more
agencies,
women. I got more women.
okay,
I got more
okay,
women coming in. I got more women. I'm bringing in
okay,
Kelly Sue DeConnick.
okay,
Okay, I'm gonna bring in the Dodsons,
okay.
and
And what direction would you take Krakoa in?
I would want people who love the characters and they want to do something. Like I would want Kelly. I would want Kelly to like, give me your best pitch. Give me your best pitch, and we're
Okay.
gonna make it happen. And we're gonna make sure it connects to continuity. We're gonna reward old fans as well as new fans because I feel like Marvel now really does not appreciate. They take their older fans for granted. The ones who've been through all the continuity, who've been through all the events, who've been like they've stayed and they still say spend their money on them.
Okay.
They want to get the new fans, and that's great. But like, there's a way you can do both.
I
Like,
agree.
let's come up with let's come
I
up with
agree.
yeah,
I
like
think
yeah.
go ahead.
All right, so half of them will be doing new stories, other half would do continuity stories, and then we bring
Okay.
them together in the event. So that way, everybody knows what's going on, everybody's on the same page, and everybody's happy.
Honestly, I think that that would also kind of call back to Hoxpox because they kind of did that
Right.
in a
Yeah.
way.
Well, yeah,
Um,
but do that on a line. Like
yeah,
each
I
one
think
tell
that that would
something different.
work. How would you? Because now one of the things that I've loved about this era and like in buying comics is like I get the collections, and so would you separate those into different like collections or
Um,
would
well, I would at first and see like
okay,
and but they would cross over. They would you would see what isn't I wouldn't keep them the characters totally
okay,
separate from each other. Like
yeah,
you would see Polaris. I would say let's say she's in an X Factor book. She would show
okay.
up in an Excalibur book, like hanging out with Rachel and Betsy. Like hang with
I would love to see her on like has she been on a Marauders team?
no, no,
Here's the
she
thing. When she was going up or when like Magneto and Polaris had their little talk about like, why didn't you, volunteer to be the leader of X Factor? People have expectations of us. And she's like, Dad, can you tell me what my personality is? And like
he's like,
gagged him,
you don't know
had no
me.
idea. I was like in my head because again, like I'm a X-Men media consumer largely before
Right.
the
Of
before I
course,
get to
of
the
course.
comics. So like when my mom is like Polaris is awesome. She's, helping mutants and getting them to safety. I'm like that's Marauders. Polaris should be on Marauders.
Yeah,
Like
she's
I
a
think that she should
rescuer.
rustle up some of that like the gifted, universe Polaris, and I think she would be great on the Marauders.
Okay. Back in the 90s, I remember there was a time where Polaris was angry and she was like, she was getting into Magneto territory.
Gotcha.
Like, okay, there was one scene where Forge, Mystique, and Polaris were heading into the government building talking to the head of the CIA, telling them that we as X Factor don't work for you anymore. We're gonna we're severing our ties. Uh, we're keeping Mystique and Sabretooth on the team because we do not trust you. We don't trust you to leave them in your custody.
Yeah.
And all right, but this is the part that gets me. Um, the agents in the room were were told to take out their weapons to arrest them, and they tried to take the guns out, and they couldn't. And Polaris is like, "I just strapped your guns to your own magnetic field. I wouldn't pull too hard if I were you. Might lose some flesh."
Yikes.
I'll
I mean,
send you the issue. It's
okay.
I was like, that's my Polaris. And I understand. And like what happened with her with Genosha, I totally get it. But like,
Right.
I want to get angry Lorna again. Back when she was like, I don't care. I'm not gonna be the nice one right now. I'm
Yeah.
the mean one.
I think that her anger is justified. I mean, like, I it's it's so I mean,
It's great. It's
it is great. I really think that we need a good video game to take us through the history of the X-Men from like
oh god,
the
it's
90s to like Krakoan era, and
oh
I really think Krakoa era needs to be like its own separate game.
oh man, don't even don't tempt me with a good time because
uh
yes, yes.
you know the thread that I tagged you in about the plants and how like Krakoans should be able to meld with the Krakoan flowers for the like botanical armor.
Yeah.
I would love for that, and then if they incorporated something like that, or they just had the Krakoan gates as like the save points.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, they kind of are though.
They
They,
are. They are.
but so are the resurrection protocols. They are a save point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would love that.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, but all in all, I'm giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's a favorite of mine. I say it gets ramped up after M Day. It it turns it up. Like it doesn't go to 10. It doesn't go to 11. It goes up to 100. People,
This
we
it
start
has no chill. It
like
has no chill.
bodies, 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 bodies.
Like I said, like the Krakoa, going back and and reading the Academy X trilogy,
Yeah,
Academy X, Childhoods and
yeah.
Quest for Magic, it's so much easier after the Krakoan era because we know that so many of like all of
They are
the
damaged. They are
problems
trauma bonded forever.
they are, and I would love to see more books with them, and I would love to see a like class reunion, because like
No,
they
they did
were
that.
first and foremost
They
a
did that
school.
already though.
Say what?
They did that. And
Did
X
they?
Factor.
They did. They did do that in X Factor.
Well, it was a prom. It was a prom.
It was a prom. It's fine. It's fine. I love me a prom. I'm here for it.
I
Um
wanted, but here's the thing though. I kind of think that Bling, she's a little predatory. She's a little predatory. Like she kind of got at Cecily when she was a little vulnerable and kind of slipped in. Just saying, it's a little predatory. I respect the get it.
she definitely was. I just saw a meme that said, "Guys, I'll be the shoulder if you need to cry on," and the shoulder is just like an eggplant emoji. That was very much Bling. That was
Yeah,
her.
right.
That was her motive. I'll be your shoulder to cry
Because she
on.
jumped off from Jubilee.
Yeah.
She went from Roxy to Jubilee to Cecily. It's like Cecily was the one who stayed. Just say it.
I think that Jubilee. There are so many times in which like she like has a queer coded like close friendship or like I don't think that that Jubilee has ever had a writer who did her queer story justice. But there's like a handful of Jubilee ships and I love them all.
Hey, you notice that Jubilee's kind of ran through her entire class of Generation X.
Oh
She
yeah.
Skin, Chamber, Sync. What she tried to get at Sync. Oh, you know what?
Right.
Fuck. She bagged
she
him. She bagged him.
she did, yeah.
She bagged him. So just saying.
I mean,
Just
I'm not
saying.
gonna say no to more beautiful Blasian babies. Like I here's the thing.
Where
I think it would be interesting if um all the mutant babies that are dropped off at the nursery and like I think that like any like a messy story that I could see Sinister doing is like any of the like time like any time that a mutant has gotten together, he's just mixed their DNA just to see what their baby would look like, and he's got all the files of those chimeras like on the ready. I would love for Nanny to like find it,
oh god.
like print them all out and take them to like the children of the vault
Oh
and
no.
like raise them there, and like people are like, where's Nanny, like where's Orphan
He's in the
Maker, and
vault.
then they come back with all of these like chimera and hybrid mutants, and it's like, wait, we never like that was never
That was never a thing.
I feel like it would be a great way to make more mutants and just to kind of appease all the shippers, like without like forcing pregnancy on any poor
No,
unsuspecting boy.
forcing what is it called? Parenthood on a
Right, right, exactly. And like Nanny, Manny's the one that wants to do it. I think that would be. I love looking around at what we have and seeing kind of common stories or tropes and like leaning into them or making them better. Because the X Men never do raise their kids.
Whoa! Cyclops raised Cable. He raised Cable. He raised Cable. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly how he did it.
Okay. I'll be honest. My introduction from Cable was like very afar. Like he was always that guy with the big metal arm and the gun.
Then let the living memory of the X-Men lay it on you.
Okay.
Cable was a baby with Scott and Madeline. Okay.
Yeah.
They were together. The only time they were apart was when Madeline tried to sell the baby to a goblin queen to be the goblin queen.
Right.
Yeah, let's talk about. Everybody talks about. Oh, Maddie's a victim. Yeah,
I mean, here's the thing.
She tried to do a Mystique. Okay. All right.
Hasn't she apologized for that?
People don't forget.
You're right.
Like I'm pretty sure Cable should have been like, this bitch. He tried to kill. Why would I want to be around you? You clearly didn't want me around on Earth.
Right.
No, okay. So Cyclops raised baby Nathan. He took custody after the Inferno event. Mm-hmm. Took care of that. Brought him on missions. He had a protective little bubble around him so he could come around on missions. It was adorable.
But doesn't he give him to like Sister Ascani to raise in the future?
That we're getting to that. He gets a virus from Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And he can't. And there's nothing on Earth in this timeline that can help him. He has to go to the future. He has to go.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. I'm not saying that X-Men don't want to raise their children. I'm saying that so often superheroes either do not raise their super kids and they come back as adults, or they get pigeonholed and like narratively neutered.
I'm about to hit you with it now.
All right, hit me.
Boom! With it. In the mid-90s, there was a limited series called The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix, where
that's right, they do go.
Where on the honeymoon of Scott Summers and Jean Grey, they are whisked into the far future to raise baby Nathan moments after he just got there. So they raised this child for 12 years.
Okay, that's longer than most.
teaching him how to like use a gun, use his powers, like be resourceful.
Yeah.
After that 12th year, they get taken back. They get taken back.
Okay.
And then when Cyclops died, young Cable, it was a couple years since he last saw Scott and his parents.
Mm-hmm.
He goes back, brings back Scott, and they're living together for about a good three years. So he kind of raised them from infancy to young adulthood. Cyclops, the best X-Man.
I'll say Cyclops. A lot of people hated the Kid Cable, and I thought
he was great.
I loved him. I'll be honest. I liked Chance Gently because again, I wasn't reading comics. I liked the idea of X-Man better than Cable, even though I knew because for me, Cable was my old, libertarian uncle, he, loved him his guns, but the rest was pretty liberal. And that's always how I saw Cable. So when I wanted cool, hot, shirtless son of Jean Grey and Cyclops, it was X-Man. And but yeah, no, I wish that they took that trope of, you know, super aging kids and kind of went full force with it. And Nanny is kind of the perfect person to be that kidnapper, you know, the baby napper. But also with the childhood from the, you know, with the children from the vault. I don't know what it's called, the vault.
The vault. Just say
The
just
vault.
just the vault.
With the vault, you know, she could be gone for a week and, you know, like raise the kids to, you know, like Academy X age. There is one last thing I want to talk about before we
Yeah,
end.
of course, of course.
It's David Elaine's list of like big minds he wanted to see
Tony
and study
Stark,
from.
Hank Pym, Bruce Banner, Reed Richards.
Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, Henry Kissinger, and I like Googled it up, and it was
Yeah.
like the Secretary of State, and I
Yep.
put,
Yeah.
you know, Marvel, and it said, yeah, the Secretary of State, and I was like, okay, you know, like Stephen Hawking's, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, and if I'm being honest, with Krakoa or with the Hellfire Gala, the first one, inviting all of the American, you know, ambassadors, all of the superheroes. Like David could have all of the knowledge that he wanted on that list in one place on in the Hellfire Gala.
Oh, absolutely.
So I would also love to see Prodigy learn magic because I think that him spending time at like Academy X with Magic or Wiccan or Pixie, I think would absolutely um, kind of give him the boost he needs. And honestly, why doesn't Doug, you know, Mr. Linguist Master, learn magic? Like it just does not make sense why, when mutants have the propensity for great magic, that like these two non-offensive mutants who have exponential power, because like David was writing papers for fun that he like solving world problems. I going back to the New Mutants in the Krakoa era, you know,
No, but to answer your question, this is why I would hire Kelly Sue DeConnick and and uh and Thompson.
okay.
I would like these are questions. Every book I have will be focusing on a different aspect of the Krakoan of mutantdom.
Yeah.
That's every book. You would have the main X-Men book, it'd be main X-Men. The Excalibur book would be the magic book.
Yeah.
It would just, but it wouldn't just do Anglo-Saxon. We like right now, I feel like there's a really wasted opportunity with Captain Britain. They need to just embrace the body swap. Just it happened. It happened.
I really I'll push back on that. I love Kanan. I love her
No, no, no,
story.
no, 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 no. I'm not saying getting rid of Kanan. I'm saying embrace the fact that they like villains in their past who hated Betsy when they were in Quanon's body are coming after them both. Bring back some of their old villains.
I would love that. Love that. I like
I'm gonna send you the Crimson Dawn right now. You don't worry.
Okay.
No. It's all right, basically it's Archangel and Psylocke, the Crimson Dawn. It's after what's the best way to say? Okay, Betsy was nearly killed by Sabretooth when he busted out at the Xavier Mansion.
Okay.
Nearly killed. Wolverine, Archangel, and this mysterious little gnome named Gamma managed to get the elixir of the Crimson Dawn and used it to save Betsy's life, which caused her to get a red, really cool red mark over her eye.
I do remember that, the red mark. Right.
Yeah. There's more to that story, and I want to see them bring that back. Just like it like this would be a perfect time.
Yeah, it
right?
would be.
And
I
you bring in
yeah.
Conan.
I
Sorry.
I do love the going back and finding old stories and bringing it back. I love that. I'm a big fan of that. Um, yeah, I think I yeah,
Right? This is how you reward old fans and new fans.
right.
Like you don't have to rehash. You take them and you like continue the story.
Yes, yes, I completely agree. I think that that was my biggest problem with new X-Men and like the 2000 stuff. And honestly, my personal vendetta over Grant Morrison and their work and their style of writing. I find them to be very chaotic and destructive, and I really appreciate how the Hickman era he's done really well with reconstructing and finding loose ends and braiding them into new stories versus wiping out. And I mean, there can be said that like sometimes when the forest gets over grown, you got to set the forest on fire, so that's not a fire hazard. And when it comes back, they all grow, more,
The stronger, yeah.
stronger. Yeah. Um, but I really enjoy the yes and of the whole Krakoa era.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So wrapping up.
All right.
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Like this has been very very fun.
Likewise, thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to do the rest of it because
Absolutely.
there's
Yes, yes. This
so
is only part
much.
one of three.
Yeah. Oh, the House of M was crazy. No, but
It gets wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you are at Wolverine Gold on Twitter. I'm 1407 Great Malkin Lane. See you soon.